And good day, everybody. As promised, I've returned to the keep at Castle Rising, and what a chilly day it is, although it's sunny at the moment, but it has been variable, and only a day after some very heavy winds. But what about this building? I've covered this on previous investigations and visits, and certainly if you look below in the information panel, you'll see a number of links to where you can view other material relating to the castle. I'm actually here today, and I'll introduce him very briefly. He's holding the camera. I'm actually with my friend Eddie Mallett, who's joined me for today's opening up, hopefully to capture some EVP or perhaps some light anomaly inside the castle. But what a splendid building is. Dates from the 1140s. It has the power and the structure that one would expect from a quality medieval build, and certainly this was a royal castle. It was built by William de Albini II, the King of Bling. He built this magnificent castle in the middle of nowhere. It had no real military value, and eventually it became a royal hunting lodge, and that passed down into the possession of the Howard family, who in the 20th century worked together in conjunction with English Heritage to open this fine building for public inspection and to stand inside these vaulted archways. And over here we have the entrance to the Great Hall. We have this magnificent colonnaded entrance, and it's filled in now as a fireplace because when the Great Hall fell into disrepair, obviously it was not accessible, so it became redundant and this became a fireplace. But what they've used here on the floor, from the floors, are encaustic tiles, medieval tiles, which show the royal arms of the patrons of this castle, and they're perfectly preserved today, and they can still be seen here in detail. Absolutely wonderful. The only thing that ruins it, of course, is that there's a sheet of perspex over it to stop people like you or me from touching it. What I'm hoping today is to achieve something perhaps really interesting. Certainly we picked up EVP here in the past, and I'm fairly confident we're going to pick up the same today. But anyway, without much ado, let's crack on with the investigation. I'm now joined by Eddie Mallett.
Hello.
And as many of you remember, Eddie was the guy who invited us to Santon Church, and Eddie was the man that came through the church door, locked the church door, and it mysteriously opened after we... Yeah, that was really something, wasn't it? Eddie, as many of you know, particularly on Facebook, is a seasoned investigator. He's been to the castle previously.
Yes, I have.
So it's an experience he's looking forward to today, and so am I. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to pick up something worthwhile to share. And fingers crossed. So without further ado, we're going to get on with the investigation, and hopefully, just hopefully, we'll have something to share. You're up for it?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, looking forward to it. See what we might get.
Absolutely.
For some good EVPs. I've already heard some taps while you were actually doing the talking, so could be interesting.
Could be. Okay, well, we'll crack on with the investigation. Thank you, Eddie. What particularly intrigues me is the legend of Queen Isabella, the she-wolf of France, who allegedly murdered her husband, Edward II, and her son, according to reputation and rumour, had her imprisoned for this ghastly crime, but nothing could be further from the truth. She actually had a full royal retinue while she lived at the castle, and she was free to travel anywhere that she wanted. But in later years, she became senile and decrepit, and at night, people in the village could hear her screaming maniacally as she ran around the castle. As her power and her beauty faded, and she was left with a haggard and withered body which she found difficult to live with. And allegedly, people have heard her screaming at night inside the castle. They've heard her walking through or running through the many passageways around the castle. And people here have experienced the presence and feeling of being accompanied by some spiritual presence. And you always get that feeling inside this castle. You always feel that there's somebody who is intimately close to you as they follow you around inside the castle. We're now going to open to spirit, hopeful that in this endeavour we'll pick something up on the recording devices. I have a camera that you can see which is pointing directly at us, and also a GoPro camera that you can see here, which is down below on one of the ledges. So hopefully trying to cover all angles if possible to be able to share something. Okay, I'm going to open up. I come here in love, light and peace. I mean no harm or disrespect to the occupants of this beautiful castle, and wonder if anyone in residence here would be prepared to say something or to give some indication of their presence to us on tape here today.
If that was you, could you do that again, please?
Stand over here. Here is the entrance to the Great Hall. It's now a fireplace, and the energy there is particularly strong.
It is.
A lot of people that don't understand or don't believe in the paranormal are very dismissive of what we're doing here at the moment. But you've really got to see it and to experience, to believe in it. And I can understand people being sceptical. I have no illusions about the paranormal. I know exactly where I am and where I fit into it, and so does Eddie.
Absolutely.
But of course, to those who have not experienced this all seems to be a complete folly, a waste of time.
It's still wonderful when you see a skeptic suddenly realise.
Oh, totally.
There.
But you see, the other important thing that we're missing here is that we are talking about historical events.
Absolutely.
Which are recorded, which have occurred inside this castle. We know that those that were employed to build it, a number of workmen died. We know that people died in the service of the lords that lived in the castle, and probably quite a few may have been punished or sentenced to death for various crimes. I mean, in this period of the 1140s, stealing a rabbit would probably get you executed.
That would do it.
Stealing a loaf of bread would get you executed. So anything is possible. So there's all these different energies which I can feel floating around inside this castle. You know, when people speak of Queen Isabella, I don't know if it's Queen Isabella. I've not heard maniacal laughter or seen any female presences.
I've been here a couple of times. I've never heard it, not yet.
But, well, yeah, I've heard from people that have been here. I spoke to a couple last time I was here, and they were freaked out just wandering around upstairs. They had the impression of someone being with them all the time.
Always.
So there's a certain tension in this building, but it's not unpleasant though, is it?
No, I mean, it's up here on nice and ease. Totally ease, considering the dungeon is just below us.
Yep.
The castle's dungeon is just below us. That's the amazing part.
The last stop in a castle.
Yeah, in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Anyway, what I'm feeling at the moment is, as it were, a kind of enlightenment to the atmosphere in here. There's nothing heavy or pressurised about it. I always get the impression of lots of people, though, around here all the time. People going around doing their courtly or castle duties, and we, I suppose, on our plane, are almost like an interference to what they're doing on their level.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, there's been people that have investigated here, but I've never heard of anyone capturing the sound of Queen Isabella screaming her head off.
Me neither. Had some really nice EVPs from here that I've heard.
Yeah.
Never actually
I think actually, in truth, at night, particularly in the summer, a lot of female screams are going to be heard from here, but they're certainly not Queen Isabella. They're going to be used playing around. Or as we used to say, courting couples.
There is that as well.
Yeah. But just... Any spirits of this building, I come here in love, light and peace. I mean you no disrespect. I just wish to make friendly and peaceful contact. If you could please give me a sign of your presence here today, or even if you could tap one of us, or make some kind of noise that recognises the fact that you are acknowledging us, we would be ever so grateful.
We will indeed.
We'll spend about 10 minutes here, and then we're going to wander upstairs to the other anteroom above the main Keep 4 building. Apparently, that is one of the rooms that Isabella has been seen in. But the irony of this is, if we were here and we did capture the voice of an elderly woman screaming her head off, it would obviously be a tourist.
Yeah.
Could never be a ghost.
I have to say, me headache. I've got a very strong headache.
You're getting a headache?
Yeah, and it's spiritual.
Yeah, I feel a very strong presence around us. I can't tell you who it is.
No, I can't. I'm not medium.
I can feel it, but I don't feel a direct line of contact with us.
What the heck was that?
That was birds. Yeah, it's weird what you can hear here. If you can hear noise in the background, it's two men removing a tree, but they'll be gone very soon. It's just beautiful standing here, looking at the arches and the Romanesque windows and the columns and the plinths and the scrolling and the bosses at the end of the arches, which are beautifully detailed. Please could you make a noise? Please could you say something?
Let us know by banging on something you hear, please. Try and do anything that you possibly can to let us know that you're here, please.
I'm not picking up on any specifics, nothing at all like that. I'm not getting any impressions of people, but I just get the impression and a very strong feeling of a mass of people.
Mm-hmm. It's a very strong headache, I know that.
Well, there's so many layers of history, all the events and terrible deeds and good deeds that have been committed here.
It's that wonderful onion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peeling all back.
And you get down to, the dark past.
Mm-hmm.
I know the castle was used for a period as a mint, and for that purpose they brought in a party of Jews, I believe, who were minters, and they were later moved to the mint at King's Lynn.
That's correct.
So the castle had a short period of use as a royal mint, and eventually ending up as a royal hunting lodge. And then, of course, after that, the building gradually fell into a state of disrepair. But at least it survived the English Civil War because it was never used. It had no military purpose whatsoever. You know, if the Roundheads and the Royalists had met here for a battle, it would have been a location they were given by mistake because there was absolutely nothing here that's worth fighting over. So the castle, the keep, was preserved much longer. And thank God that it is, because it's when we talk about the medieval period, all that's left generally is remnants, but here we have quite a big remnant, don't we?
We do indeed. A wonderful one.
How many buildings can you stand in that aren't churches, that are medieval? And here we are in this beautiful building. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a wander upstairs and we'll go to the other anteroom and we'll see what we can pick up from there. Okay, we're now in the Keep upper room of the Keep 4 building, as it's officially known. It's quite a damp and musty room by any description, and certainly there are examples of the original stonework which have crept through from underneath the plasterwork. And it has a solid floor. And we were talking about the floor tiles that are on the panel display, the encaustic tiles. These are the tiles with the glaze rubbed off, so these are badly damaged examples that we can see here, but they're still in purpose, and that's the important part. So what we're going to do here, Eddie's going to have to hold the camera because there's absolutely nowhere we can put the camera on a tripod. We're just going to open up briefly and see if we can actually draw through some energy. So, I come here in love, light and peace. I mean, you no harm or disrespect. I just wish to make friendly and peaceful contact. Are there any presences of this building, of this castle, who wish to make themselves known to us, whether they could make a noise or whether they could touch us or give some other indication of their presence here today?
Black pearl. Black pearl.
Sorry?
Tap on this flagpole.
Oh, tapping on the flagpole, yeah. There is a flagpole above the castle, and the cord which is used to fly the flag keeps flapping in the breeze and keeps slapping the pole, and that gives a sound of almost like a clock, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Please, could you give us a sign of your presence here today? We mean you no harm or disrespect. Please, could you say something? Now, just now. I did actually pick up I believe a female presence, a woman dressed in 15th century costume. I don't think it's Queen Isabella, but I'm picking up a lady who is wearing a kind of court dress. And by the finery of her dress, I would say that she is either a lady in waiting or she is one of the nobility, but she's certainly not the average, everyday, common servant girl as they were referred to. She's obviously a member of that social clique, and I can feel her here. I was just impressioned of a woman coming through here, dipping her head slightly, bowing her head slightly, and walking over here. Well, that's it for today. It's certainly been an interesting visit, an impromptu visit. It wasn't planned. It was something that I wanted to do, and Eddie wanted to join me. But I've certainly enjoyed my time here. and it's certainly been interesting. And what we felt and what we picked up, well, how that translates to film is something I've yet to discover when I edit the video. But anyway, until my next investigation or paradocumentary, may I thank you all for tuning in and watching, and to the next time, thank you.